Hi everyone, I wanted to wish you all a Shabbat Shalom. Also, of course, still a Chanukah Sameach. I really hope that this Chanukah has brought some light to you, a bit of a joy, a bit of cheer at this time. It's not easy. We're obviously moving into 2021 soon with this pandemic, into another year. And so, on the one hand, we're trying to hold it together. On the other hand, we may well be more anxious. There definitely is more anxiety around, and I think it's important to say that's okay. It's obviously good to be able to reflect on how that affects us, and there are lots of changes in our life, the way we live, the way we work, our relationships, and it takes time to be able to actually get to grips with what those changes are and how they do affect us. We will feel a bit more anxious, and we have to also see that that doesn't affect us and how we function too much. And obviously it's important to think that we might need help at times too. So, love to all, of course. This week is Parashat Miketz. Last week at the end of the Parashat, Joseph interprets the dreams of the butler and the baker. He believes that the butler will go back to his position and the baker will be killed by Pharaoh. And that's what happens. And actually knowing that, Joseph says to the butler, look, when you get out, will you remember me to Pharaoh, because I want to get out, get me out of this jail. If you just tell him how good I've done, what I've done, that will help me. And immediately this week's parsha begins after 2 years. Vahi miketz shnatayim yamim. It was 2 years later, and Rashi actually says there was some sort of punishment for Joseph because he put all his faith, in a sense, in a person. That was uncharacteristic of Joseph. Joseph had always put his faith in God, that whatever he did as an individual, as a human, whatever ability he had, the ultimate ability was to God. And he often says that to others when he interprets dreams. He says it to the butler and the baker. But here, he doesn't refer to God at the end. He says, look, I'm going to believe, I'm going to put my trust in the human, in the individual, that person will save me. So obviously there's a religious, theological side to it. But there's another side, which is that in a sense, and I think we all feel this now, we want to be able to control what will happen. We want to know what will be. I think that was something probably pre-COVID as well as in COVID, and all the more it's been emphasised now by the pandemic. We want to know that the vaccine will get us out of this. We want to know that there'll be an end date to this, that we'll be able to get back to normal. And yet we can't. And maybe there's something here also about how we can live a life of value. We can live still a life of good values, of good relationships, of wanting to contribute to the world, to society, of wanting good things, and working in a sense to end cruelty and bad. But at the same time, we cannot fully control where we will be, where things will go. We can work towards it. It's like really the Jewish concept of Messiah. We believe there will be a Messianic era, there will be a redemptive period, but we're asked in a sense not to push it and not to force it. I think that's really interesting, connected to this week's Parsha. Wanting good in the future, but not forcing it too much, because if we force an end point, then that can have negative consequences. So some ideas for you to think about over Shabbat and at the end of Chanukah. Wishing you all a really warm end of the day, end of Chanukah, Shabbat Shalom. I think next 2 weeks I'm going to be off, and therefore there might not be videos for 2 weeks, but I'll start back again early January, connecting with you all, and there's lots of good things coming up as a community. Shabbat Shalom.